Wanted to show a table that we're building out at the moment that qualifies companies and finds their employee reviews and then summarizes it on Glassdoor, all completely obviously automatically. So the task here that we had was to essentially pull a list of companies that are in the tech sector, essentially within the UK. So anything to do with SaaS, software, things like that. Um, and what we needed to do was we are running two separate campaigns for the client. So one is for any companies that have positive Glassdoor reviews, and one is for any companies that have negative Glassdoor reviews. And that's going to dictate the value proposition and sort of the angle of the message. But obviously, how do we do that? We've got a list of companies. How do we find their Glassdoor? How do we find the, you know, essentially analyze and research the sentiment of the Glassdoor reviews, whether it's positive or negative? How do we then push those into separate campaigns, essentially? So the way that we did this is first import the list of leads. We just use Clay as the data source, so nothing special there. Then here we use the HTTP API to essentially pull a job, sorry, not job, a Google search for basically the company's Glassdoor. So what we did was we pulled a Glassdoor formula. So essentially, if I was to search for this company's Glassdoor online, I would type in site, colon, whatever it's called, site glassdoor.com / reviews, and then the company name. Right. So if we type this in, site glassdoor.com / reviews, and then this company name, so the company name here is Cybertech, and we put this in here, right? Cybertech Tech Systems Review, what it's like to work here, right? So we've got the Glassdoor, okay? So that's how we would search. You can do this in Clay, but it would cost you a lot of credits. It's 1 credit per result with Google. So instead, we essentially just connected Serpa, which allows you to run the search a lot more cost effectively, essentially. And then the reason I've got this formula search is because this is the variable that goes into here, just to make sure that it's running correctly, essentially. So this is doing a Google search. And the data that it pulls, we took the first result here on organic. You see Glassdoor here, and it says reviews / and then Cybertech Inc. reviews, right? So if we click on this link here, this takes us and should take us theoretically to Cybertech Inc. Cybertech. Oh, interesting. Different actually. One Cybertech Systems, one Cybertech Inc. Okay, interesting. So I'm gonna have to double check that actually. But that's actually a good. That's a good thing. I'd have to double check what the company domain is. Okay. Well, either way, I can double check that. But we've got a system in place. I can show you actually on the second one instead. This one is going to be something that I actually have to look through after this. But here, if we go to the results here, results right here. So we've got arc / reviews. And then if I was to type in here, like this, onto Google, we've got arc reviews, what it's like to work at arc. And then this takes us, so this is this link here. This takes us to here. And then this is from Google, and this takes us to here, right? So you see that it does work. For whatever reason, the first one that I showed you, yeah, I'm gonna have to just manually check that and double check because there's no company domain either, so it's a little bit different. So, but just take my word for it that it does work on all of these different companies. It does work. So that's the first thing. So we've got now the page. Now we need to scrape it. However, before we do that, there is one thing. Sometimes when you type in onto Google, glassdoor.com / reviews, and then this company name, it doesn't come up with the right thing. So for example, here it's pulled a completely different, it's called this company, Zerb, right? A completely different company, right? So how can you check essentially if this is the right company or not? And if this matches the company name. So what we did was we used Claude to essentially pull a prompt that said, cross-reference this URL with this company name. And if this company name is within the URL, then output yes. If it's not, then output no, right? Now, I went through maybe I would say like 50 to 100 manually, and it works, I would say probably like 95% of the time. You have to play around with the prompt a little bit. There were a couple that it missed out, a couple that it got wrong, but it is pretty accurate for, considering that you're doing this at a larger scale. like I would say this is pretty damn accurate. So yeah, I would say probably about 95% accurate. So that's what we did, and then that would spit out basically we would only run a Zenro scrape. So we're scraping this URL now to find the information. We would only run this scrape if this is a yes. So if this is the correct Glassdoor link, then we would run a Zenro scrape. If it's not, it won't go run conditional. You can see that here. Then we use AI to essentially do a summary of the scrape, and we ask it how many reviews does this company have, what's the overall star rating, what were the top review highlights by sentiment, right? So we want to, it has like a highlights by sentiment section here. If they have over, I think 20 reviews or something. But yeah, you can see here, like we're basically just getting a summary. What are the negative reviews? What are the positive reviews? And this is just pulling all of the information from Zenrose, which it scrapes. And obviously all of this information is very just in a blob of text. I've just essentially told AI to analyze it and output a short summary of each. How many reviews? What are the reviews? Like what is the star rating, pros, cons, etc. And like what's the kind of summary essentially. And then what I did was I reviewed that analysis because we want to split the campaigns. We want positive to go into one campaign, negative to go into another campaign, right? And negative in fact at this campaign is 3.4 star and below, and positive is 3.5 star and above, right? But they also need to have statistically significant data. So we put the criteria at 20, at least 20 reviews. So if they didn't have 20 reviews, then they got removed. And that's why you see bad fit. If they did have above 20 reviews, then we would ask it to spit out how many reviews it actually had. Then we would essentially only run this next column if this had the number of reviews. So if it has bad fit, wait a second, hold on. As I forgot to update the conditional formula. So only run if I would essentially put does not equal bad fit. Basically, we don't want it if it contains bad fit, don't run essentially. So com will run yes, bad fit, cool. I'm just going to say no run. So essentially, this is only running if this contains bad fit. It's like it's too low a number of reviews to basically put it into the campaign. There's no point. We don't want to reach out to these companies, so they'll be removed from the next step. I just need to update the conditional formula, and then I would use Claude to write a small specific segment or snippet, basically based on the information that we've gathered here. So those are the steps. So what we're doing is we're taking a list of companies, we're finding their Glassdoor, we're scraping their Glassdoor, we're then passing that data, analyzing it, providing a summary to AI, doing all the research for us essentially at a fraction of the cost, making sure it's the correct URL to a pretty good degree of accuracy. And then splitting the campaign based on companies that have good reviews and companies that have bad reviews. The messaging for us is going to be different. If they have good reviews, it's going to be one thing. If they have bad reviews, it's going to be another thing. So that is a summary of the table that we're working on at the moment. Super curious to see how this performs and test it out. But yeah, we've got somewhat large list as well. So yeah, super curious to see what the sort of numbers are on this. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them below or schedule in a call. If you need help with building out workflows, clay tables, things like that for yourself to automate parts of your sales motion and research and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.